Prince Charles has been speaking about the impact of COVID-19 on young people at an event for his Prince's Trust charity, which aims to help vulnerable youths. The Prince of Wales said young people have been disproportionately affected financially, but he feels encouraged by the fact that many of them believe their generation can help solve some of the world's biggest challenges.
Having confronted one of the greatest challenges in living memory, we now have an opportunity, I would suggest, to create real lasting change for our world. So what young people need is the chance to succeed. And that was really the basis of my Prince's Trust's formation all those years ago. So I hope we can now tackle this real challenge which has been building up for a very long time. We've had enough discussion and argument. Now's the time for real action on the ground, because we haven't got any time to waste anymore.
Well, in a CNN exclusive, I spoke to the Chief Executive of the Prince's Trust International, Will Straw, and asked him directly about the research that suggests young people are being driven to take a leading role in helping transform industries like energy, transport, agriculture and our oceans to make them more eco-friendly.
What we found with this research that spoke to 6,000 young people aged 18 to 35 from right around the world, from Ghana, from India, Pakistan, as well as the UK, US and Canada, was a very, very consistent view about both the kinds of industries that they're interested in working in, but also what they expect from those companies, which is good ethical standards and companies that are making a real difference to their communities and to the wider world.
Are you finding people turning down jobs even if you don't have the right credentials as a company? It's not just about the money, the pension, that sort of thing.
Well, through this research, which we launched today, but we've got focus groups taking place in many countries as well, is trying to drill down and answer that precise question. Because it's one thing to say that you're interested in a job in these professions, but what would you sacrifice? Would you be willing to take a salary cut? Would you be willing to turn down a job? So we hope that over the course of this research, we'll be able to answer that question. But what the polling is showing today is that young people are certainly making career decisions on the basis of those ethical and different standards that companies have.
You're working with chief execs. Are they hearing that? Are they honestly hearing that? Are they adjusting and realising that they might not get the right staff if they don't have the right policies?
I think they are, yes. The conversation that we had today, attended by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, had representatives from over a dozen businesses, again from right across the world, both those working in finance that are investing in businesses, but also from businesses like M&S and National Grid, who are employing young people in these professions. And I think what they hear loud and clear is that young people are expecting jobs to be sustainable, that young people are looking for those ethical standards, and that there's a real demand from young people not just to advocate and protest about climate change, but to be agents of change as well, be able to make an impact with their careers. We had a discussion about some of the things that business needs to see, some of the things that businesses are doing, some of the investments that are being taken, but also the importance of education, of mentoring, and so on. So it was a really rich conversation showing that businesses take this agenda seriously, but also are thinking about some of the challenges they face in getting young people into these professions.
If we break down some of the numbers from the Prince's Trust research, it says 78% of young people believe their generation can create solutions to some of the world's biggest challenges. 74% of young people are interested in a green job, but only 3% so far are working in the sector as their main job. The Prince's Trust Young Ambassador reiterated that the values companies stand for are proving vitally important, and he told me employers need to take note.
What is this company giving back? Because everyone knows at the end of the day, there's a business that's there to make money. That's now granted. With the amount of big companies there are nowadays, it feels like the jobs are more secure. So now it's about the quality of those jobs. And part of that is, well, are they helping people? Are they good? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to work for someone that you feel is a detriment to society and just there to make money.
Because that reflects on you as an employee.
Exactly.